Okay, peace, 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 family. Sister Victoria X here. And today is commentary day. Yesterday we read chapter 12, Is There a Perfect Couple? And so today, because we had to get out of here kind of early on yesterday, today we're going to do the commentary for chapter 12. If you have not been reading along with us thus far, chapters 1 through 11 are on my YouTube channel. And you can go to my YouTube channel by going to sistervictoriax.com, scrolling all the way down to the bottom. And when you do so, click the YouTube icon, and then all of the readings are inside of a folder. Um, oop, inside of a phone inside of a folder on my YouTube. So it's chapters 1 through 11, I believe. 12 is not up. It'll probably be walaikum salam. It'll probably be a few days before 12 is up, because like I said yesterday, my YouTube is starting to look like a read along channel, and that was not the goal for it. But I really enjoy reading these chapters because I'm getting so much insight, and I'll probably have to read this book 2 or 3 more times. Um, also, if you are someone that would like to get notified when I go live, which I didn't even notify the people today, but if you are someone who like to get notified when I go live and get motivation, text healthy Hugh all caps no space to 77948. And there's no comment. I mean, there's no read along today, so there's no need to differentiate. And we have about 7 good minutes so that we can get into the reading. So, like I said yesterday, we talked about chapters 12 in the book Real Love by Ava Muhammad. And the title of that chapter is called "Is There a Perfect Couple?" Um, so it starts off very blatantly. Walaikum salam. It starts off very blatantly by saying we can strive for perfection in our marriage, and we can be very near perfect. A perfect couple is one united in complete peace and harmony by real love. And I actually really love the way that this particular chapter is broken up. It's the first part of it is called courtship, and then the second part of it is called marriage. And I think that's so significant because courtship is like a very important part of marriage, right? Because that's literally the part of your relationship where you identify and figure out if this is the person that you actually want to get married to. And she spoke earlier about courtship in the book as well. And we were just saying that, okay, the primary purpose of courtship is to establish the rules and structure of the relationship. I think that, and this is why she says that it doesn't take years to court a person, right? Because you're not like the idea of taking 6 and 7 and 8 years to figure out if you want to marry somebody is an illusion, right? Because we think that at some point in time there's going to be a magic moment where we think we're just going to know everything there is to know about our partner. When that's not true. Like, there is definitely a difference between dating and being married. But in courtship, there are questions that you typically ask that you don't ask while you're married. I mean, while you're dating. And so that's why I think that that setup, the courtship versus, the marriage split up is very important because courtship is a very important part of your marriage. Because if you're asking the right questions and you're setting the right intentions and you're setting the right structure up for your marriage, then it lends for a longer lasting marriage, right? And so we're going to go into where she says, understand that during the courtship, you both are polite, considerate, affectionate, so you bring the same qualities out of each other. Later, you will both have occasion to behave rudely and will bring forth an entirely different person. And this to me, when I read it, says that you get what you give. And so you have to be an example, right? And whew, it's the hardest thing to do, especially when we start getting into our emotions and we start feeling slighted, which goes into another point that she brings up about how we project how we feel and what we're feeling on our partners and on other people. So in the beginning, walaikum salam, ma'am. In the beginning, it's all love and roses and niceness because that's what we give, right? We have, to a certain extent, when we first meet someone that we like, we do have a mask on. We give them literally the best of ourselves. But as we get comfortable, that's when the layers of that mask kind of start peeling off. It's not that those parts are not part of who we are, but it's not the complete picture, right? And so as we get comfortable, we get lax. Then the more lax we get, the more those nice and beautiful and considerate and affectionate qualities fall off. And we essentially get what we give because we stop trying as hard to impress or whatever it is we find ourselves doing at the beginning of a relationship. So literally, we get what we give. So if you want a kinder spouse, you should start being kinder. And the trick to that is don't be kind in the way that you feel in your head. You should be kind. Um, because I think that is important, but at the same time, what you perceive as kind is not might not be the way that your partner perceives kindness, right? And so that's the other part of marriage too, and the other part of being in a relationship. You have to identify how your partner perceives things, so that if you're intending to inflict an emotion upon them, you know exactly what to do. And that goes back to love languages as well. Um, and then she goes in to say, this is the marriage part now. She goes in to say, you only know if you made the right decision after at least 3 years of marriage. In the Nation of Islam, we are taught to wait at least 2 years before we begin having children. These practices maximize the chance of happiness and permanence. Um, and we be quitting too quick. It's like the first sign of an argument, the first sign of a disagreement. It's like, oh, this big charade, you tricked me, and we might as well separate because it's only a year. And at this point, what did they say? We can get what is going on with my voice? At this point, we can get an annulment because it's only been a year. But the truth of the matter is, after that third year is when you can really identify and make quantifiable decisions, um, or quality decisions on whether or not you can move forward, right? Because the first 3 years is really like, to be honest, I don't even really remember the first 3 years of my marriage that much. I don't know if it's because time has passed. I don't know, but it's really those first 3 years that, like, you still kind of in that phase where you're yourself, but not really. And so, and I think it's very important that you do wait those 2 years before you have children, right? Because some of us, we get married and we jump right into children and we never get to figure out how we are as married people. We never figure out how we love each other as married people. And so then children come in the mix, and it makes the relationship more difficult because you never built a foundation for your relationship, right? You never set a standard for your relationship because as soon as you were married, you already had a child. And I know, like, people like to believe that dating, courting, and marriage are the same thing, but it's not. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like something that triggers in our mind, but it's definitely different once you're married. And so I always advise to take those 2 years to figure out how, walaikum salam, ma'am, to figure out how you love, to figure out how you all are together, to figure out how you can interact. And then once you have children, you have the opportunity to build upon that. Um, and then this is the last part I'm gonna go into, and then I have a meeting. And inshallah, I'll come back later on to finish this because this chapter was so, so, so very good. But she says there are many instances where women yield. The whole basis of our mutual attraction is the polar difference between us. And then she goes in to talk about how sometimes we will sacrifice who we are as people and become more so on the women's side. We will become like almost like I don't want to say a slave is definitely the wrong word, but we will lose our identity because we're so caught up in our relationship and caught up in our mate. But she pointed out the fact that opposites attract, right? And so while we're essentially giving up parts of ourselves to become committed to this relationship, we're losing the very thing that attracted us to our mate. And so it's very important that even if you're already married, but more importantly, if you're single, that you definitely take the time to identify who you are as a person. Because if you don't, it's going to be even easier for you to get lost in the relationship. And when that happens, I promise you, resentment is sure to follow. But it's because we be so quick to get in a relationship. We be so quick to want somebody to want us. We be so quick to be tied up and locked down when we should be taking that time to get to know us, to get to enjoy us, so that we'll be able to easily distinguish what is of us and what is not, and get back to our foundation when sometimes we get lost or get off a track, because it does make you bitter. It does make you upset. And it's no one's fault but yourself, right? Because we willingly give that up. And so that is all that I have for us on today. About the reading. I really, really, really enjoyed this chapter, and I'm going to strive to come back on so we can finish this out, and then tomorrow we go straight into chapter 13, which is when does love come. Like I said, if you would like updates and daily and motivation to your phone, text healthy hue all caps no space to 77948. And I will see you all to later on today and then tomorrow. Peace, family.